biological males, biological females, and no one else. Today, we are here to mourn the death of women, the death of men, the death of the West itself. Doesn't that just make you so... Hello. In online spaces, a person can make a name for themselves by being overly positive, informed, and informational, or by being an asshole. The latter tactic is how Arielle Scarcella recently entered the radar of YouTube and Twitter. Arielle Scarcella is a self-described lesbian YouTuber who, as of late, has managed to maintain a place in the spotlight by sharing her transphobic opinions whenever the urge overtakes her. Recently, she decided to open her facehole in regards to Elliot Page.
Oh, we did it. We lost another lesbian, guys. The person formerly known as Page is now going by Elliot Page. They now go by he, they pronouns. They came out as trans. Let's see what's up.
Elliot Page is an Oscar-nominated actor who recently came out as trans, and while people with basic level empathy were happy for Page, Arielle looked at this situation and thought, how can I make this all about me?
The response is basically this. He is truly trans. Good for fucking him. There is still a huge issue at large. And that is, why are we losing all of our lesbians?
So she not only made this terrible video, but she also went to Twitter.
Much respect for the Elliot Page for coming out as trans. I still wonder though, where are all the lesbians going? Two things can be true at once. One, some people are actually trans. Two, some lesbians are internally misogynistic and want to be anything other than a woman. And I stand by that.
Wow. Congratulations! You hit it right on the head, Arielle. Elliot Page, a person who famously hated being a lesbian.
And I am here today because I am gay. And because...
I mean, I have to be honest with you, it's like such a journey. Like truly when I was ready to come out was when I was ready to come out, you know? But I wish I had earlier only because I feel happier than I could have ever imagined.
Who famously hated women.
It was fun. I've never been to a lesbian bar in Tokyo, and I feel like I felt a little shy. Because there's pretty girls. How could you not?
Who never once tried to advocate for gays and lesbians.
A journey to explore what it means to be lesbian, gay, bi, or trans all around the world.
If you think that you live in a part of the world where there aren't gay people, you're wrong.
I'm sure Elliot Page's transition has nothing to do with, I don't know, finding himself, living his best life, finding happiness through authenticity.
What part of your transition has actually brought you the most joy?
It's, you know, getting out of the shower and the towels around your waist and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, there I am. And I'm not having the moment where I'm panicked, being able to touch my chest and feel comfortable in my body for probably the first time.
No, you're right. It can't be any of that.
It must be because he hates women.
People that are coming out as transgender are more likely to be accepted and protected among their peers and the educational staff.
The rate of trans acceptance is at an all-time high. Cis people might as well just jump in front of a bus.
Oh my god, look at that. TERFs and start cis shaming is trending. And these people that are participating in these trends are wondering why the rate of LGBT acceptance is down.
But cis shaming is why LGBT acceptance is at an all-time low.
What we are saying is that there are also a lot of people that are medically and socially transitioning or just simply identifying as anything other than women. because of internalized misogyny or because of internalized lesbophobia.
And people hate lesbians, except for Elliot Page, who, when he called himself a lesbian, people were very supportive. But calling yourself a lesbian today is wrong!
They are wondering why so many people, I think 73 million people, voted for Trump. We are also seeing tons of
biological females
transition, medically and socially, and then later on regretting it. Tons of detransitioners.
37 million people voted for Trump. 50% of detransitioners detransition, but only 20% of the time. If I keep saying numbers, will you take me seriously?
90% females, 75% 25.
65, 48, 72, hike!
There is a huge spike in biological females transitioning medically and socially. The fact that it's mostly about 90%
females
is a red flag for us.
38% of men are 50 times more likely to be 20% women, but 420% of women are 69. Also, I feel like this is something that is really hard to ignore, but her terrible brand of logic can and has been applied to lesbians. I mean, how many times have you heard people pulling facts out of their ass about lesbians, saying things like, lesbians are just man-haters. Girls go lesbian when they're too ugly to get a man. Being gay is a mental illness. God created Adam and Eve, not her. And if I really wanted to get into it, I could defend Paige by drawing from my own experiences. I could say, very earnestly, Arielle, it's actually pretty common for people to be gay before realizing that they're trans. Sexuality and gender are a hard thing to figure out. It's not like you can just take a blood test and know in 20 minutes. No, it takes lots of conversations with yourself, experimenting with how you present and how you interact with other people. And for you to talk about these mysterious transmasculine people who regret transition when you presumably have no experience, I don't know, crying yourself to sleep thinking about how cute you would be if you were born a man, or dreading coming out of the closet because of fear of backlash from people like you, for people from a marginalized group to shame and police people from another marginalized group. In current year, I mean, what can I say? That's just embarrassing for you. Am I still recording? Yes, I am. Good. That's on. Okay, good. As you can see, slam dunking on Arielle is extremely easy and can be fun. But there's a problem with trying to respond to her or really engaging in anything that she says. She doesn't care what I'm going to say. Oh, wait, you think Arielle's watching this right now? You think she would have found that opening funny at all? You think she wouldn't get 5 seconds in, see the trigger warnings, the set design, the costume, and go, ugh, another leftist degenerate here to take away my free speech? Arielle Scarcella is not going to listen to a crossdresser with 20 subs, in the same way that she's not going to listen to a respectable trans man with 600K and a doctorate.
That's just to speak to somebody about how they're feeling. They're nowhere close to hormones at that stage.
And that's part of the problem. The fact that you have to wait 2 years to talk to somebody about how you're feeling gives lead to the
trans activists
online to further convince you that you really are trans. By the time you get to a gender clinic, you're probably fully convinced that you're trans at that point, because most people, sorry to break it to you, most people aren't trans. Most people aren't trans. Most people aren't trans. Most people aren't trans.
If she's not going to listen to him, who the fuck is she going to listen to? The answer is no one. At least not publicly. Let's see. Who's another regressive content cow I can nitpick to prove my point? Well, how about we pick on some of my fellow biological females? Abby Shapiro is a person with a working mouth and presumably adequate pulse. She has a YouTube channel where she makes sweeping generalizations about people that she doesn't know and tells them how to live their lives. I wonder who that reminds me of. So let's see what her smart little brain has to say about gender.
First thing I want to talk about today is something that kind of went viral on Twitter, and that was Harry Styles in a dress on the cover of Vogue. Yeah, that really happened. The thing about it is that I think that masculinity is actually really important. I think that men need to embrace the best parts of masculinity, right? Men don't belong in dresses. In Western culture, it's not a thing. Men don't belong in dresses because men should be men. It's a good thing for men to be men.
Okay, so according to Abby Shapiro, she believes in strict gender presentation, no experimentation, no deviation. Got it.
So for me, I know that I really like feminine clothing with a masculine twist. Now that's not all of my clothing, right? Because there's all different kinds of things we can put in our wardrobe. But I really like button-down dresses, for example. I really like wearing a pair of jeans with a flowier top. I like the mixture of masculine and feminine.
Oh, I see how it is, Abby. So you can play around with clothes, but other people can't? Oh ho ho. I have done it. I have found a contradiction in Abby's logic. My work here is done. And since we're already talking about Harry Styles, let's see what Candace Owens had to say.
There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men, at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children, is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men. Newsflash, woke idiots! When you send me pictures of Freddie Mercury and Kurt Cobain dressed as women to prove your point, you are actually proving mine. Staple men do not wear ball gowns! The end!
Okay.
Candace Owens is trending because a bunch of whiny idiots are mad that she said men who wear dresses are manly? Her statement, of course, is true and utterly self-evident and would have provoked no reaction as recently as a decade ago!
Wait until they find out that I also think women should be feminine! And I enjoy cooking for and taking care of my husband! DEFCON 1!
Okay, that was a lot, but I can see that she's kind of coming from the same logic as Abby. If you want to be treated as a man, then you gotta be like a manly man, and if you wanna be a woman, you gotta be like a womanly woman, and if that doesn't happen, then like the Marxists or whatever. Alright, got it.
I'm not comfortable using the she pronoun, not because it's not anything to be disrespectful, it's just that a lot of people that follow me don't know that Blair is trans, and a lot of people that follow her maybe don't know me, vice versa, and I think that it betrays the audience when you make it sound like this is a petty catfight and there are two girls sitting across from a table, when in fact it is a grown man sitting across from a grown woman. It's a grown man.
Oh. Okay. So, Blair White. This Blair White. She is not woman enough for you? I mean, Jesus Christ, nothing's good enough for you people. Now let me just say, I don't think it's pointless to respond to these people's behavior. I applaud the people who do that, but I want to go in a slightly different direction. Today, I want to study the turbulent life cycle of the reactionary regressive. How people have managed to get into the spotlight, how they maintain it, and why they chase this compulsive need to clutch their pearls, to act holier than thou, to behave naughty. A regressive is a person who wishes to return to a former state of living, either real or imagined. We have to go back to the time when men were manly. We have to go back to the time that our country was powerful, stuff like that. A reactionary is someone who opposes social or political reform. We can't let the gays marry because then bestiality will be next. We can't let women be liberated because the West will fall, things like that. For someone to be both regressive and reactionary when it comes to politics, it means that that person has to not only oppose social change, but actively try and stop it. Because they don't want to progress, they want to go back. The regressive reactionary puts forth the idea that the best way to live is to make everything simple. A world where no one is too different, that they have to use their little brains to think hard or be empathetic. And in order to maintain this belief, they have to live by the rules of a very strict worldview. For the regressive reactionary, their worldview needs to be strictly homogeneous and reflective, meaning that anything they perceive represents all. I'm not trans, therefore no one is trans. This is my relationship to my gender, therefore no one else can have a different relationship to their gender. My idea of the way of being right is the only way to be right, and anything I don't feel comfortable with can be attributed to what I believe are the shared beliefs of an outgroup that I don't like. There are no gray areas, no room for disagreements, and no room for nuance. We have no time for nuance, the Marxists are coming. Everything is absolute and a warning sign of catastrophe. Everything that the regressive reactionary sees must be neatly filed away into evidence for things that they already believe, and their evidence is infallible. Nothing another person says can refute what they have already decided. You think, therefore you are, but you have no proof of other people's thoughts, so you have to decide their thoughts for them. As we've already seen, tearing through this strict and, honestly, silly worldview can be pretty easy. It's not logical, it's not factual, and as we saw earlier, it can often be hypocritical. But that's the problem. To the reactionary regressive, hypocrisy is not a fallacy. Being wrong doesn't actually make you wrong. All you need is the flimsiest connection between point A and point B, and honey, you've got yourself a career on this godforsaken website. I believe that lesbians are in danger, therefore, trans men are a danger to lesbians. Feminists want to live their life in a way that's different than I want to live my life, therefore, all feminists are hell-bent on destroying the way that I live. Dresses are for women, and women are from Venus, and men are from Mars, so therefore, if men wear dresses, then the Marxists will win. It's reverse engineering an argument based off of a conclusion that you already made and are not willing to change. And it's not like they can't care about how flimsy some of their arguments are. It's that they will never reveal to us whether or not they care. It's part of the culture of the reactionary regressive to never compromise.
So so if you wouldn't bake me a cake, if we were having an anniversary party, would you come? If I was inviting all the crew that we all know, and we were just an anniversary party, we're just having a party, and I'll even throw in some kosher food for you to make sure you don't have to bring your own.
You know, honestly, I'd have to think about it. In the same way.
So that's interesting to me.
Did you really think that questioning my integrity on camera would make me change my mind, Dave? Like, maybe if these were just two dudes who worked in the same office or lived on the same block, they could have had, like, a normal conversation about this. But they aren't, though. This guy isn't Ben from accounting. He's Ben Shapiro. He's a public figure whose income is reliant on being a reactionary. In preparing for this video, I have watched hours of Ben and people like him repeating the same arguments over and over and over again. Children are being forced to transition. Trans people are denying science and trying to destroy biology. We just don't know what these chemicals will do to the body. Except those things aren't true. They have been refuted time and time again by trans people who will very calmly and respectfully and politely explain to people who have questions what their situation is, what their story is like. I mean, some people are, brave enough to actually go into very graphic detail about, their bodies and how hormones affect them and their surgeries and all that stuff. And as much as I absolutely respect people who are brave enough to share all of that, who are, willing to be positive and informational and informed, those people's stories aren't so much falling on deaf ears as ears that have been purposefully gouged out.
Why is one sex more focused on gender expression, clothes, hair, makeup, while the other is more focused on physical changes, like I said before? Testosterone, HRT.
You clearly spend no time in our communities. You clearly spend absolutely no time talking to us. I'm being raw and vulnerable telling you about my transition. And she's just not ever going to listen. She just doesn't care.
The thing that really bothers me about that claim is she goes on to say that, not even non-binary people can explain what non-binary means. Girl, Google it. There are plenty of people that talk about what their identity means, how they experience being non-binary. That's just not true.
Okay, so here is the headline, and you tell me if you know what the hell this means. Okay, ready? Elliot Page, Juno star, shares transgender identity. Do you have any idea what that means? Seriously, do you have any idea what that means?
You're on your computer, Benjamin! Go to fucking Google!
Being a reactionary and a regressive is, its own nightmare of mental gymnastics and inconsistencies. But when you tie those beliefs to the money that you're making, then it's a whole other ballgame. By entering into this scene, into this 24/7 roleplay where your job is to make videos, be on Twitter, be interviewed about those opinions that you initially used to get attention and money, you're signing a sort of social contract to never change your mind. Conversely, the people who respond to this rhetoric, the Jamies, the Noahs, the Moes of the world, aren't responding just to be mad about something, but instead to transform that negativity into something educational. I would be shocked if regressives didn't, at least on some level, understand that other people are engaging in conversations while they are setting up roadblocks. This is one interpretation of masculinity, but there are also others. Let's explore gender and presentation today. Versus, no, masculinity stops here. No backing down, no compromises, and everyone can hate me if they want to. Harumph. But now things have changed. You began by just sitting in your room with your camera, talking about how you would never fuck someone with penis, which, you know, at worst is like a little bit cis-sexist, but, you know, if you could have just kept that opinion to yourself. But no, you chose to believe that your personal preferences were indicative of some sort of unquestionable empirical knowledge, as old as the stars and as unwavering as the tree of life. And you had no choice but to grace us mere mortals with this forbidden knowledge. And then people were like, okay, why did you say that? So you keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and then people kind of go, ugh, you might be like kind of transphobic. Someone has responded to you, so you have two options. Either consider their point of view or double down. And if you decide to double down and to keep doubling down, it will become a vicious cycle of, you guys, all I did was be vulnerable and share my controversial, but obviously correct, opinion, and now I'm being punished for it. But here's the thing. You're not just someone voicing your opinion. You're famous. The second you make your opinions known, that opinion becomes public, where people can then respond in public. And then your response to the response is public. This is different than voicing your beliefs in the office or at home or whatever. This is you saying what you believe and then presenting it to the court of public opinion. It's not an internal dialogue, it's not a personal journey, it's a display for the peanut gallery. And every time someone pushes back at you, you dig in your heels, and more people come to watch, and then they'll have their opinions. Suddenly, we need to talk about you. And instead of, I don't know, just shutting up or moving on to something else, you sink your teeth in even harder, because now people are looking at you. At some point, repeated public conflict just becomes your own character assassination. And constantly inventing reasons to engage in public conflict, like, oh, I don't know, trying to make a trans person coming out as an opportunity to regurgitate the same shit you've been spewing for months, you're running headfirst into a fire that you provided the gasoline for. It's not being brave. It's self-sabotage. But, you know, some people like the new you, so you seek them out, and you repeat those same talking points as before, and they repeat you. You might have found yourself a little niche. With time, effort, and a little bit of luck, you might perfect your space in that niche. You might be instantly recognizable. You might have your own iconography.
A fake and a fraud. Now there it is, the gay bomb. You think I am like shocked by it, so I'm up here bashing it because I don't like gay people? I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
What a buffoon. Or maybe he's right. Maybe the frogs are gay. Either way, let's keep watching. Let's keep giving him attention. We need to see this man speaking his truth.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.
Oh, but wait. What was that thing that Alex Jones said about his show? Like, he was playing a character or something? You know what, now that I think about it, was it Blair White who said that some of the right-wing talking heads she met didn't actually care about the issues they talked about?
Because you start learning things like, oh, almost all of them hire people to tweet and Facebook post and Instagram on their behalf, tweeting out opinions on their behalf, which I feel like is unethical because people are following you because they believe you're some intellectual and they trust your opinion and they're going to shape their opinions a lot of times on an issue based on your opinion, and it's not even actually your opinion. It's something that you paid someone to assume is your opinion, and you're so much of a rigid, like, binary thinker that it's easy just to pay someone like, yeah, tweet out the standard response and this is what it is. It's like, I don't respect that.
Oh, and Tucker Carlson once said that people should know not to take him seriously. Maybe because he was in some legal trouble for something? Huh. Well, I guess maybe you do care, maybe you don't, but either way, suddenly your income is suddenly linked to the thought of you caring. But how does one maintain that image? I certainly don't know. There's no dungeon monitor for the internet. This is a free-for-all. All you need to go buck wild is you, your camera, and your opinions. And the mix of people saying how brave you are and the people pushing back against you. Oh God, the endorphin rush, the negative attention. Is this not the good pain I have heard so much about? But after the drop, where's the aftercare? What helps you come back down to earth? I mean, you certainly don't know. You've been making this up as you go along. You may not even fully realize that it's happening, but you need to keep going. So what do? You chase that high. And unless you're like famous, you know, like Tucker Carlson, where he's got, you know, like a team of like writers and producers and people to run his Twitter for him, like, you don't get to go home like he does. If you're an internet person, then your job is happening every second you're awake. Your one purpose is to pump out videos about anything and everything so that people can keep their eyes on you and keep thinking that you're as mad as they are. Look at me, it is I, your personal jester, here to be angry about, oh shit. What are we angry about? Hold on, let me go to Twitter, I'll find something.
Be right back. I'm buying all the Dr. Seuss volumes for the kids before the woke book burners can get to them all.
If Martin Luther King were alive today, I wonder what he'd think of the horrible race wars we are told to participate in.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm tweeting this, but they are pushing the trans agenda on children via Muppet babies! This is sick and perverted! Everyone should be disturbed by predatory cartoons meant to usher children into gender dysphoria!
Now, any child of any gender can look at a potato head and dream of growing up to be a plastic spheroid with interchangeable parts.
LGB blue T, we back the blue? We back the thin blue line? What the fuck is this?
Look, everyone is playing a character when a camera comes on. Everyone. But if someone is coming to your character specifically to join in on their cycle, to let you be the vessel through which they're radicalized, you need to step up your game. You need to be more angry, more reactionary, and more steadfast in the beliefs of whatever is the hot topic right now. The buck stops here. Because it has to, because wavering on that will mean losing your audience and losing your income. If you stick by your beliefs, people will like, comment, and subscribe. They'll go see you talk in person. They'll buy your stupid books or whatever dumb merch you come up with in your smart little brain. And then people who disagree with you will respond to your videos and to your books and make fun of your ugly merch. And then you'll respond to them, and they'll respond to you, and they'll respond to them, and they'll respond to you, and they'll respond to them, and they'll respond to them. And just when you feel like you've settled into your little niche, then come the haters. Oh, I'm being called out on Twitter? Told to delete my offensive tweets? I'm being censored. I'm being muzzled. I'm being canceled by haters. And the beauty of having haters, as opposed to, people commenting on and criticizing your words and actions in the hope of detracting your audience from making the same terrible decisions as you, can be that haters can be anything you want. I saw one cringy SJW video, therefore all of my haters are exactly this person. 2 whole people with pronouns in their bio quote retweeted me? Everything has changed. They're coming. The Marxists. So then you respond to the haters, and the haters respond to you, and all the while you're still pumping out videos to your heart's content. And because of all this, you're rising in the public eye. People are interviewing you, but people are not liking that you're being interviewed. So the entire world, or at least that's how it feels to you. I mean, our brains can't really comprehend, having a couple thousand people having various levels of distaste for you. But the whole world hates you. You're the most hated man on the internet. You're the most hated lesbian on the internet. You're the most hated internet on the lesbian man. And then one day, that mob of yours will be big enough to call for you to be deplatformed. And then you'll have ascended to something far greater. A martyr. Oh, gross. Oh, Jesus. Freedom. So back when I started the script for this video back in like January, originally there was like a lot of reference to BDSM. Like I was gonna make a joke like, oh, reactionaries have a public humiliation kink. I kept those jokes in because I'm hilarious. But a few things happened between then and now. J.K. Rowling won an award for her brave manifesto, and known idiot and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene wore a face mask on the Senate floor, in the Capitol that said censored on it, and then put up a sign outside of her office saying, "There are only 2 genders," across the hall from a trans flag. Seeing these things, I had kind of a aha moment. For these people, it's not public ridicule they crave, it's public ridicule. They don't want to go to the whipping post, they want to endure the whipping post. I only just now realized that I never brought my good microphone in here, and the air conditioning is on, so the audio for this section is going to be garbage. But then again, I mean, look at me. Does it look like I've got control over my life? What the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, they want to endure the whipping post. They want to proudly hold their head high as the mob comes for them with their torches and pitchforks, and not cry out in pain to give satisfaction to the people burning them at the stake. At first I went with the simple explanation that these people were seeking out the high of getting negative attention like a toddler throwing a tantrum, and for some of them that might still be true. But I realized that was not giving these people enough credit. It was way deeper than that. For them, being a dick on the internet is a matter of life and death. You can't pussy out if you're a martyr. You have to commit to the bit. Like I mentioned, Arielle Scarcella had some genital preferences. Big whoop. She didn't need to turn it into a crusade. J.K. Rowling was or is a transphobe, wrote some transphobic things in a book. You know, bad, but again, big whoop. But again, she didn't have to escalate it to the point that she did. She didn't have to make herself the figurehead of whatever she thinks that she's doing. Graham Linehan could have very easily minded his own business, but no. He not only went out of his way to try and get money taken away from a children's charity, but, like all these other people, he made transphobia part of his brand. Have you seen his stupid ass YouTube videos? It's all Zoom meetings with TERFs, interviews. Ooh, we're journalists now, babe. He has a series called The Mess We're In. Oh my. It's a real mess. Look at the mess we're in now, girls. Okay, and look at his about.
Oh, top of the morning to ya. I'm Gran Linehan, writer or co-writer of Father Ted, Black Books, and the IT Crowd. Presently, I'm involved in the fight for women's rights alongside some brave and brilliant women and men. But once we win that, I'll be back to comedy full time. Hope you enjoy the videos.
Oh, babe. The self-righteousness, you guys. I'll get back to comedy as soon as we solve feminism. Okay, I need to move on or I'm gonna be making fun of people all day. I'm trying to make a point here, so I'm gonna get this off of my face. I'll be right back. You know, what I'm really loving about this new setup is that it involves a lot of electronics in the bathroom, where all the water is. Alrighty, there we go. Alright, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about enduring the whipping post. Let's do some makeup together to further milk symbolism about how we're all fake on camera. Sometimes I'm so subtle it hurts. Whether or not these people intend to make money off of their actions, it seems, at least from where I'm standing, that enduring the whipping post is the ultimate goal. Since this video has been mostly anecdotal and therefore worthless, I'm gonna share a little personal anecdote of my own. I spent the last 3 years of college at a Baptist university. Not regular Baptists, not Black Baptists, but Southern Baptists. Basically anything negative you think about Christianity at large is true for this sect of Christianity. Every week we had to attend chapel like 2 or 3 times and be lectured on anything from how women were born to serve men, to how Jewish people are evil, to how the gays and the trans are the reason that God wants to destroy the world with fire unless us brave conservatives rise up and take back the culture. Every day was a waking nightmare that had no end. I once realized that I was in a classroom where everyone, excluding myself, believed that the mentally ill should be sterilized. Several times there were instances of women being sexually assaulted on campus, and the general consensus among my peers was that it was her fault. One day, for some reason, instead of telling us, I don't know, what might be on the midterm, a professor of mine went on a rant about how Muslims are evil and worship demons. I bravely interrupted her and told her that being Islamophobic was not very Christian of her. And not only did she tell me to shut up so that she could continue her stupid rant, but after class, she made me apologize to her for being disrespectful and disruptive. I had all this pent-up rage and frustration that I really couldn't let out on campus unless I was with a select few group of people. If I spoke out, I would be ostracized and ridiculed. And the longer I was unable to speak out, the more it felt like I was the underdog, like I was the only sane person in the room. And over time, it became more invigorating to disagree with a huge number of people than it did to be validated in my own beliefs. Can you believe I was made to apologize? I'm being censored. I'm being silenced. This is some dystopian... Do you get it? I don't know how much more blunt I can be with some of the symbolism I've been using in this video. As much as wanting to vent your frustrations is natural, there comes a point where you get high off of the feeling of being right, of being holier than thou. When your life is turned into constantly being made to feel like the outsider, like being the only sane person in the room, you develop something more than a victim complex. It's like this perpetual martyr complex. I'm wearing a Joan of Arc shirt. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? This feels kind of weird to say, but it's the truth. After I graduated, it was kind of hard to re-enter society where I didn't have to be mad all the time. I no longer had that constant high. I remember scrolling through my old blog, finding posts that I had made in college, just trying to feel angry again. And it got to a point where I just finally had to let that anger go and leave it in the past, along with all those people who had pissed me off so bad. So why am I talking about this? I wasn't paid to be angry, so what does this have to do with anything else I've been saying so far? Well, as much as I have alluded to people being fake on camera, I'd be foolish to think that the people I've been trashing this whole time never cared. Like, sure, I do believe that we all are at least a little bit fake on camera, but no one can be no one can be consistently that fake. Deep down, there has to be that underlying drive, that need to be heard and understood that we all have. But while I have the freedom to let go of the things that make me angry, these people don't. When you voice your opinion publicly, and I am including myself in that, you let yourself become a consumable product. So if you're a public figure and you're logging on to tell people how angry you are about the transgenders, you're not leading a revolution. You're teaching people how to microdose their own self-righteousness. You're teaching them how to log on to Twitter or to Facebook or any of the other apps that are destroying our brains, get angry about something, see their favorite talking head get angry about it too, feel gratified, close the app, go back to their day in the calm of the emotional post-nut clarity. At some point, it doesn't even matter if you care about what you're blabbing about. You're porn. Reactionaries and regressives cultivate an audience of people who do not want to change their mind. So if the reactionary regressive changes their mind, then they're screwed. Like I said, when you link your income to your opinions, you're signing a sort of social contract to never change those opinions. I'm a nobody. I can change how I feel anytime I want. I can grow and learn all within the safety of my irrelevancy. But the people I've been talking about can't do that. And that's what fascinates me. This repetitive life cycle of having to constantly find enemies around every corner. To commit to being pissed off all the time in front of a live studio audience. Specifically, an audience that isn't so much invested in you as in your abilities to vocalize exactly what they're already thinking.
Say the line!
Ben.
You're determined by your chromosomes.
It fascinates me because, honestly, it seems like a miserable way to make money. Babe, you're like so brave for pretending to care about trans women in sports. Just make sure you don't stop caring. Or I might stop caring about you. Keep throwing yourself on that pyre, honey. I'm feeling a little chilly. So, you built a career on negativity and alienating yourself from others. Where do you go from here? Well, the short answer is down. The world of the reactionary regressive is appealing. You know, it's fast, it's exciting, it keeps you on your toes. But it's not sustainable. It's purposeful deterioration. It reacts to and is repulsed by the development of others. And what feels like a meteoric rise in your first wave eventually runs stale. And while those people who respond to you, the positive, the informed, and the informative, continue to thrive, you're struggling to find that footing that you once had. Their motion, their conversation is perpetual. But you're still looking for that spark that once got you into the spotlight. And it's hard. It's hard to make negativity last. And what's more, you've taught yourself that your negativity only has value if it's happening in front of a live studio audience. If someone's transphobic in the forest and no one's around to hear it, is it still owning the libs? Steven Crowder wasted his International Women's Day dressing up as a woman and going to a gym because he cares about women. Does he care about women?
Hi, I'm Stephanie with all the frequencies of feminism.
If women are property, you're a bad investment. You and your butch haircutted chain gang. Is Steven Crowder gonna have to slap a bitch?
What about the patriarchal sexism in the workplace?
Whores.
Okay, maybe not, but look, he's very concerned about something, so he has every right to go out in public and risk getting COVID so that he can get clicks for his stupid show that kind of needs a revamp because he maybe supported an insurrection and he wants you to forget about that. When Graham Lennon went onto a public dating app and made a public dating profile with his very recognizable face, it's because he cares about women. And has nothing to do with the fact that, I don't know, his brand of transphobia needed a little more publicity. Because in the last couple years, the most he's been talked about had to do with when King Kong teamed up with the mermaids to raise Atlantis? When your public persona is reliant on constantly escalating infamy, the one thing that will hurt you the most is being ignored.
Happy Halloween! We're here at OSU to ask people today what they think of my costume. Oh my god. You people are wild. Why is it wrong for me to wear a Halloween costume? I have to ask you a question.
So that white privilege is real.
I don't know, you're the one in whiteface, like why are you being like this? And you're in an Indian costume? Like I don't understand. You just want to trigger people so you guys stay relevant.
Do they watch it? They aren't, because it's shock value. You guys are doing performance art at this point.
Are you enjoying the show?
No.
When your persona is connected to setting up roadblocks, there's no room for growth. You're frozen in that moment, in that hatred, and unless you can keep hating that thing or find other things to hate, then people will move on. The people who respond to you will move on with their lives because at the end of the day, you were just one mean person, and they've got big plans for this world. And the people who did listen to you, well, if you're no longer pumping out that negativity, then they have no need for you anymore. You stay out of the spotlight for a little bit, you get banned from a website, you lose your show for some reason. Maybe you start to get demonetized on the platform that you make the most money from. I don't know. Something like that. And the people who relied on you for their own negativity move on to the next person. The person who hasn't burned out yet. You vent your frustration, learn to love it in an obsessive, unhealthy way, burn your brightest and then flicker down to a dying flame, desperately trying to get that attention you once had until the day you die. And then rest in piss trends on Twitter so you can go viral one last time. I've talked about some very bitter, unhappy, hateful people in this video, but I don't hate any of them. Their actions frustrate me, but I can't hate them. I pity them. I wish things could have been different for them. That they didn't create a life for themselves where they have to wake up every day and choose hatred. Because to me, there's no worse hell than that. Bottom line, if you are in this game, you have to get out. It's a doom spiral and a death sentence. Mentally, financially, spiritually, it's not sustainable. But it's also never too late to get out of the game. It's never too late to let that anger go.
If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Everything I said in this video was, as I said, mostly anecdotal, but very importantly, it was my opinions and observations. And none of the things that I have said are worthy of inspiring anyone to go and harass the people that I talked about. Please do not give these people any more attention because that's just what they want. The best way to get them out of this cycle is to just ignore them and not give them the views and clicks that they need. Thank you to everyone who provided guest readings. Thank you to Doom, who read Candace Owens' tweets, including that Make Muppets Manly Again one that I sent at the last minute. Doom's channels will be below. Thank you also to Mary, thank you to my brother, thank you to my partner. Don't forget to smash that unsubscribe button, download an extension that lets you remove the bell, dislike the video, call me a slur in the comments, and wherever you are, have a nice night.